everyone, and welcome to another episode of STEM in Seconds. As you can see, today we're going to talk about expanding brackets. So first thing is, what do I mean when I say expanding brackets? In algebra, if we want to say 3 multiplied by a variable x, we take out this times because it can sometimes get a little confusing. So we make that equal to 3x. But we start to have a problem if I replace this x with an x plus 1 term. Suddenly my expression becomes 3 times x plus 1. But that can be a bit confusing, so instead we have to put brackets around this x so we know which one comes first. Then, because it's algebra, we take out this multiplication sign and we end up with 3 lots of x plus 1. This is what's known as a factorised form, and I'll be doing another video about factorising later on. But what happens, say, if I get a question like this? Three lots of x plus 1, as we've seen before, add 4 lots of x plus 2. You can't add it in this form, so you have to expand your brackets. And what that means is I have to multiply each term in this bracket by the power in front of it. So we do 3 times x plus 3 times 1 plus 4 times x plus 4 times 2, which leaves us with 3x plus 3 plus 4x plus 8. From each of these arrows generates one of these terms in this expression, which means eventually we get 7x plus 11, which is much simpler than this long ugly thing. Now we've mastered what to do if there's one term outside the bracket, the next thing we're going to look at is 2 brackets multiplied together. This is the most common form of expanding brackets that you'll find in a GCSE paper. So the one we're going to start with is x plus 5 multiplied by x plus 2. Now the method I like to use for this is called FOIL. And it stands for first, outside, inside, last. And it's a rule of thumb when multiplying out 2 brackets. And I'm going to show you how it works. So, to multiply out these brackets, I take the first terms and multiply them by each other. So x multiplied by x, which gets me x squared. The O is the 2 on the outside, so this x multiplied by this 2, which gets me 2x. My insides is this 5 here and this x here. So it's x times 5, which gives me 5x. My last 2 terms are this 5 and this 2. So it's 5 times 2, which is 10. The last thing you do in this method is you then combine all of these 4 terms. So x squared plus 2x plus 5x plus 10. And these two, as you can see, are the same x power, so we can add them together and get x squared plus 7x plus 10. The next one we're going to try is a little bit harder. We're going to look at 2x plus 3 multiplied by x minus 1. Now, as you can see, there is a coefficient of this x term, which makes things a little more complicated. We're still going to use FOIL. We just have to write them all out. So, my first 2 terms are 2x times x, which gets me 2x squared. My outsides are 2x times minus 1, which gets me minus 2x. My inside terms are a 3 here and this x, so it's 3 times x, which gets me 3x. And my last 2 terms are this 3 and this minus 1, so 3 times minus 1, which gets me minus 3. Again, last step is to combine all 4. 2x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 3, which combines again to 2x squared plus x minus 3. Now I've got one final example to work through with you, and that's what happens when you have 3 brackets. So the question we're going to look at is x minus 4 multiplied by x plus 3 multiplied again by x plus 1. Now this looks a bit messy at first and some of you might think you can't use FOIL, but you can. What we're going to do is we're going to take these two terms and multiply them out first, and then multiply the result by this final bracket. So again, using FOIL, my first two terms are x times x, which gets me an x squared. My outside terms are this x times 3, which gets me 3x. My inside terms are this minus 4 and x, which gets me minus 4x. And my last two terms are this minus 4 and 3, which get me minus 12. Combining these all up, we get x squared minus x minus 12. Now don't forget, we still have this x plus 1, so we're not finished yet. So the new equation is x squared minus x minus 12 multiplied by x plus 1. The easiest way to deal with this is in a small grid. The first thing to do is draw your grid out, and the next thing is to write in the values that you've already got. So I've got an x and a plus 1 from this bracket, and I have an x squared minus x minus 12 in this bracket. Then I'm going to draw the lines in the grid so you can see which one I'm doing. And then you use this grid like a multiplication table. So x times x squared is going to be x cubed, x squared times 1, x squared, x times minus x squared, minus x times 1 minus x, minus 12 times x minus 12x, minus 12 times 1 is minus 12. Moving this up a bit so I've got a little bit more space. If I then combine everything inside this table, I get x cubed plus x squared minus x squared minus x minus 12x minus 12. Combining this into one equation, I've got 2x squared terms here, I've got 2x terms here. I'm lucky in that this equation, these x squared terms cancel out, so my final equation is x cubed minus 13x minus 12. Hopefully you've now mastered expanding brackets. Here are a couple of practice questions for you to try, so pause the video now and have a go. Okay, hopefully you've got answers, so I'm now going to show you what those answers should be. So x minus 2 squared expands to x squared minus 4x plus 4. The second one expands to 2x squared minus 11x plus 12. And the third one, which is a little bit complicated, is x cubed plus x minus 2x squared y minus 2y. Congratulations if you got those right. That's the end of the video. Please comment down below if you have any ideas for other videos, and don't forget to subscribe.